they've given me to share with you. Welcome to one of our foods labs. This is one of two. This is actually our small lab. We're in the basement of the JFSB. I teach in the School of Family Life, and my background is family and consumer sciences education. Most of, so I teach the 3 foods classes that we offer, and our majors take classes, but we have a lot of non-majors. Our focus in here, well, for me, it's to help prepare my students to continue to cook, to get comfortable in the kitchen and to continue to cook in their lives forever. But I also help prepare family and consumer sciences teachers to teach foods in the public schools. In the state of Utah alone, we have our junior highs and high schools have, I believe it's 8 different foods classes. So anyway, foods and culinary is a big career path. And that's what we're trying to help prepare our majors for. I want to thank, by the way, we've got a lot of tech in here. We're using some cameras and Zoom stuff that we have had since before the pandemic. So we got all set up with tech to be able to use this to teach our students. And then when the pandemic hit, we were really ready to just pivot and do all that stuff remotely. I want to thank the Foods Lab staff for helping me. And then I'm going to invite my assistant over. This is Thomas Lundquist. He's one of my TAs. He has worked in the Foods Lab for about 2.5 years. He's one of our majors. And Thomas helped develop, he's a lot taller than I am, so the camera angle is, anyway, Thomas helped develop our advanced cooking class. He was super instrumental in helping us develop that. I'm gonna have him share with you why he chose family and consumer sciences as a major and what he has learned, how working in the Foods Lab has helped prepare him for his career.
Yeah, so just like she said, my name is Thomas Lundquist. I'm a family consumer science major. And I really just chose this major because it's such I had this kind of moment a few years back where I was like, these are really important skills. And I really enjoy teaching and I really enjoy sharing those skills with other people. And I thought, you know, what better to do than to kind of make that into a career. And I'd been TAing in the Foods Lab for about a year before I even switched over. And so it kind of all happened together, but I really chose this major because I love to help people. And I think that there's nothing more helpful than teaching these skills of cooking and sewing and interior design and, you know, family relations and all the things that family and consumer sciences kind of covers. And TAing in the Foods Lab is basically just that. I mean, it's the same thing that I'll be doing as a teacher. Just helping students out, answering their questions and doing stuff like that. But that's a little about me and why I chose family and consumer sciences.
Thank you so much. I'm going to send him back to the chat. I will probably call him back here occasionally to help me arrange equipment and stuff. But he, like I said, he's been very instrumental in a lot of curriculum changes that we've made, he and the other TAs. So, okay, with that, I know you want to just see cooking. So we're going to cook. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Thomas will watch that and he will also, he'll try and answer questions or he can ask me and I can address your questions. I want to make some yummy food and I want to help you just learn some basics. What we did was we decided to pull some equipment, to use equipment that a lot of people are using right now, so I can help you get more comfortable with that equipment. So we are using a combo air fryer Instant Pot. I'm going to make, and the recipes are, there's a link in the chat and it will be, I believe on the wellness website. I hope I'm not misspeaking there, but there is a link in the chat. So let me first, we're going to be air frying some chicken thighs. And if you want to zoom in a little bit, Thomas, to maybe where we were before, so they can see primarily me and the air fryer. I know that's, okay, that's great, thank you. So this is, so a lot of people are using air fryers and it's a great tool. I love it to heat up leftover pizza. It makes it taste like you just got it. It's also great for heating up French fries that we used to just throw away or leave at the restaurant. No, bring them home and air fry them. Now, we're going to do some chicken thighs. This is a recipe that we make in our 100 level cooking class, because we want our students to get familiar with the equipment, the air fryer, and also with a type of chicken that they probably haven't used before, which is bone-in, skin-on thighs. So this is the basic part of the Instant Pot that can be used for pressure cooking and air frying. For air frying, I need to use this insert. So I'm going to put that in here, and I need to spray it with cooking spray so that we have less sticking. So I'm going to spray that. I also have the chicken thighs, again, bone in, skin on, but you could do any chicken. And as soon as, but with the bone in, skin on, you get nice crispiness with the skin. So I like that. And then when it's done, I just peel the skin off. I've got these, like the Magic Cooking shows, I've got the herbs already mixed up. So I just add the herbs to this Ziploc. Thomas dried these thighs off for me so that the herbs will stick better. So I'm just going to shake this up and get those coated. I'm going to put 3 chicken thighs in the base of my basket. Skin side, I think it's skin side down. Let me look at that. You know, my students will ask me while they're cooking, they say, how do we do this? And I say, oh, look at the recipe. I don't have all the recipes memorized. So yeah, skin side down. So just like this, they're in there, okay? Then we have this rack, and this allows us to put even more food in. So I'm going to put this rack that allows me to do like a double layer of cooking. And I'm going to put 3 more thighs. I'm going to spray it, and 3 more thighs skin side down. Now, let me tell you how an air fryer works. And this isn't the only type of air fryer. I like this one because it's multifunction, and I just have one gadget with 2 lids. A pressure cooker lid and an air fryer lid, so it saves space. But if you already have an Instant Pot, you can go to their website and you can buy an air fryer lid for it. But let me wash my hands because I just touched raw chicken, and I will tell you the basics of how an air fryer works. An air fryer works by a combination of heat and circulating air. So in this lid, there's a coil, like remember our stoves that had like the coil? There's a coil, and then there's a fan. So when I turn this on, the coil is going to heat up and the fan will blow. And that way we get a combination of direct heat and convection heat, which mimics frying. So we get nice crisping and browning. Let me, well, I already did something different. I was supposed to preheat it for 5 minutes. We didn't do that. I'm just going to turn it on though. So, you know what? Actually, I'm going to preheat it. I'll take this out because I can. And I'm going to start the rice while we preheat. So it's very simple on here. I'm just going to turn it so I can. So I just push the air fry button, and 380 degrees. Do this. So you can't really see that, but maybe Thomas can zoom in. It might get really fuzzy if we zoom in that far. But I'm going to push air fry. It needs 380 degrees. So it says 380, but I can change that with the up or down. So 380, 5 minutes, and push start. So that I can hear it. It's starting, it's preheating. I'll add the chicken once that 5-minute preheat has happened. And while that's happening, I'm just going to go ahead and throw the rice together. And I'll show you a little bit about a pressure cooker. So all of our kitchens in the Foods Lab, all 11 of our stations where students cook have one of these pressure cookers, air fryers. So now this rice recipe is not one that we do in lab. but I picked it because it's super easy. It's flavorful. You know what? We do it in lab. I forgot. We do it when we make a Tex-Mex bowl. Oh, the lid got in the way. I am so sorry. So, but pressure cooking, a pressure cooker, well, there are tons of applications for pressure cooking. You can, I know a lot of people like to cook up chicken. A lot of people do a salsa chicken. They put like chicken breasts and salsa and some other seasonings in here, and they put the lid on, and then they pressure cook it, and they take it out and they can just shred it. This is multifunction, so you can pressure cook, you can saute in it. You can, I think if you had like a little studio in New York, this would be a dream appliance because you can do a lot in it, not just pressure cooking. Anyway, this rice is as simple as long grain rice, water, and magic tomato bouillon granules. So if you buy this right by where you buy the chicken or the beef. I actually, years ago, I had a student, and my classes would plan a meal on a budget, and a student suggested this to her group that they make her mom's orange rice. And I was like, oh, orange rice. I thought it was maybe going to have a hint of orange. No, it's just orange color because of the tomato bouillon granules. So I already had the rice in here and water. So I've added the bouillon granules. I'm just going to give it a stir. And then I'll give you a couple of tips about using an Instant Pot, because this is another tool that maybe you have in your kitchen, or maybe it's in your garage or your basement. A lot of people are kind of afraid of it, but y'all, it has so many applications. And I would just say, get it out, try it, use it. When you use a pressure cooker, if you're using the Instant Pot, the one thing you want to do is there's a rubber ring that goes all the way around here. You need to make sure it's on the track, okay? And actually, often if it's not on the track, the lid won't go into place. So make sure it's on the track. Another thing to check is there's a black knob here. I like to take that off, and I like to hold this up to the light and make sure I can see a little bit of light coming through the pressure valve to make sure that that pressure valve isn't clogged, okay? Now, what's gonna happen when you use a pressure cooker, you need at least a cup of liquid. Some things that I've seen on this bigger 8-quart one is they recommend at least 1.5 cups of liquid. But you need liquid. It's going to build up to pressure, and then it's going to cook according to how you've set it. Now this rice, I'm going to put the lid on, and I will set it on high pressure for 3 minutes. That's it, okay? And it's similar to the air fryer. I just push the pressure cook button, and then I push the time until it says 3 minutes, and I push start. I am actually going to have Thomas come over and put this over there. I want it plugged into a different outlet so we're not risking tripping a circuit. So he's going to come plug this in and set it up for 3 minutes of high pressure. And I'm going to check and see where we are on the preheating. Okay, we are almost preheated. Oh, it is heated. Good. Okay, so 3 minutes, full pressure. So another thing about the air fryer, it does come with this trivet, so please protect your countertops. When you take this lid off, it's very hot because it had that heating element in it. So make sure you put it on a protected surface. All right. So my chicken is prepared. I'm dropping it in here. I know that's hot. I was careful. And let me just see. Okay, I want to do a bake for 12 minutes. So again, I push air fry, 380 degrees. Now I'm going to push it for 12 minutes and start. Okay, we are cooking chicken. We're cooking rice. I have been asked, there have been times, and I really appreciate it, there have been times when I've been able to present in Relief Society meetings. Man, I wish the Elders Quorum would have me, but I'll go there too. But I kind of like to say, you know, family mealtime doesn't creep up on us. You know, 6 o'clock doesn't hit and we go, oh, dang, people want to eat. We know they're going to want to eat. This is what happens in our day. Oh, it's the, yep. I'm going to move there. That air is blowing out and it's getting on my mic. So it's not a surprise that we want to eat, right? So let's plan it and let's make it happen. And that's why I wanted to show you some different things that you can do that are really simple to make mealtime happen. So William Doherty, in a book called The Intentional Family, he talks about family rituals. And now let me get this here. There we go. Rituals are repeated, coordinated, and significant. Okay. And family meals, honestly, are possibly the easiest of family rituals to implement because family members need to eat at least 3 times a day. So this is a great way that we can gather and make our family more intentional. And I like the idea too, when you're planning meals, of plan variety. You know, think of colors. We're going to have a lot of colors in this because not only do we have the chicken, but I'm about to make a kale salad. So plan for a variety of colors, textures, temperatures, flavors. If you've got a variety of colors, you've got a variety of nutrients. And if you've got fruits and vegetables and some protein and some grains, again, you've got a variety of nutrients. So you don't have to be an expert in nutrition to be able to pull off mealtime and to be able to have family mealtime that's meaningful. Let me pull my salad stuff over here, and I'm going to start prepping a kale salad for you. I'm going to move, actually, I'm going to ask Thomas to move the air fryer to the table so I have more counter space. Thank you. So, family and consumer sciences, as Thomas mentioned, this is the field that studies and teaches things that enhance family life. We study food science and nutrition, and we study food preparation. We study textiles. In fact, in our other kitchen, our bigger kitchen, our textile students currently are doing batik dyeing and tie dyeing so that they can teach their students some fun ways to manipulate and work with textiles. Hold on just a second. I actually have to. Here we go. Let me wash my hands. Sorry, I had an itch on my nose. So things happen. Okay, so, but anyway, like I said, I can't emphasize enough the importance of finding ways to enhance family together time. And food is a great way to do that. So I have actually, on the link that has the recipes, I have included some resources that you can look at as far as like books or, yeah, mostly books, and a couple of websites. The Barilla Pasta people actually did a lot of some research, and they have a website called Share the Table, and they talk about some interesting findings about mealtime and how kids and parents feel about mealtime. For example, 62% of kids picked family dinners over other activities as the best way to help them feel safe. And 87% of parents feel they are more connected to what's happening in their kids' lives when they have mealtime together. The other thing that I think is really fascinating about the benefits of mealtime is it actually improves a child's vocabulary. The conversations that happen at the dinner table are more linguistically advanced than just like your average conversation while you're carpooling or whatever. So many reasons to gather at the table. But all right, let's talk about chopping a bell pepper. That's part of what we're making. So you're going to get everything that a lot of what I teach my students in an hour. So here we go. One thing, people ask me, what knives do I need? You really need 3 basic knives. You want a chef's knife, which is this. You want a paring knife, which is a small knife, and then a serrated knife. You have 3 good quality, and they don't need to be the most expensive, but 3 good quality paring knife, a chef's knife, a paring knife, and a serrated knife. You can do about anything. To hold a chef's knife, I prefer, and this is really easy on the wrist, I make an OK sign, and this is what I teach my students. I just put the OK sign, I'm holding on either end of the blade, and then my 3 fingers rest on the handle. So it's just like that. This is just one way to prep a bell pepper. I'm going to cut off the top and the bottom. I washed it already. Now I'm going to just cut down there. I'm going to go around here and cut out the ribs and the seeds. And then I have a long piece of bell pepper. Now this recipe, after that 3 minutes, it's 10 minutes of natural release, Thomas. And I'll talk natural release when we get back to the rice. So now I have a long piece of bell pepper. I only need half of it for this recipe. So I'm just going to cut half and put it aside. Now I've got bell pepper that's very easy to I'm going to just cut it in strips. And then I'm going to take the strips. This is beeping at me. It might want me to turn the chicken, but I'm not turning it yet. Yep, no, we're good. Okay, so now I take these strips of bell pepper, and again, my other hand is a claw, so I don't get my fingertip, and I'm just going to rock my knife and chop these. Now, you could also get a really nice food chopper from the store, or there's a very popular food gadget company that sells a food chopper that's really good. I'm kind of a weirdo. I like to use my knife skills, so I'm chopping it by hand. And I'm going to just put it in my bowl here. Okay, this is a kale salad that it's just yum. So there's how to cut bell pepper. I already got some grape tomatoes. I halved those. I mentioned I have half of this pepper left. I really hate to waste food, and I have a little more kale left. So honestly, later today, the TAs and I are probably going to make another batch of this and enjoy it because I don't like to throw food away. So feta cheese. Now, if you don't like feta, I don't know what to tell you. I love feta. So if you don't like feta, maybe leave it out or find another yum cheese that you like. Now, here's a fun ingredient that we're putting in. This adds a whole grain. These are wheat berries. What wheat berries are, and I've added on the recipe, the book that this wheat berry recipe came from, is wheat berries are wheat. You put them in the pressure cooker, wheat kernels, you put wheat kernels, water, and salt in the pressure cooker, and then you pressure cook them until they're soft. You spread them out, you let them cool, and they're gonna go in this salad, and they're gonna add a nice little nuttiness and also a little texture. And they are in the book, I Dare You to Eat It by Lisa Card. She writes about all sorts of suggestions for your food storage, for how to store food and what to store. And she has a lot of recipes, how to use your food storage. And one of her suggestions for your wheat that you have stored is to make wheat berries and to use them in recipes. I really enjoy her Sloppy Joe recipe. It's some ground beef and some wheat berries that add as a substitution for some of the ground beef. So it extends your meat dollar because ground beef is kind of expensive. So you can do part ground beef, part wheat berries, and then just yummy sauces. You cook it up and you've got really good sloppy joes. So anyway, that I had her daughter in my class years ago, and she said, "Hey, do you know about this?" And I said, "No, I don't. Tell me more." And since then, I really enjoyed her ideas for utilizing food storage. Okay, you're just getting everything today. Keep asking questions if you have questions. Thomas can help me out if I need to address anything. Kale. You can buy kale already, like baby kale, already washed and prepped at the store. And I wanted to get the actual kale leaves so I could show you how to prep it in case you buy regular kale, not baby already prepped. Kale can be a little tough and a little bitter, so they recommend that we massage it. You do not have to massage baby kale. That's already soft and tender. But they do recommend that you do a little prep for regular kale. So I want to demo that. It's on a rib, but I want to pull it off the rib. So it really is as simple as just using your hand and just sliding the leaves off the rib, just like that. Okay, so I'm left with those ribs that I'm just going to throw away. Like I said, I don't like to waste food, but I don't have a use for that. If I had rabbits or something, I could do that. But the next thing they recommend is I'm going to chop it. When you make salad, you want your food to be bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to chop it, and I'm realizing I want a bigger glass bowl. So Thomas, can you grab, oh, there's one right there on the counter. We've got students making pies this week, and pie is a great thing to make. And we've got students making pies, so we have a lot of extra bowls in the lab today. Okay, I'm gonna pause. Has that been 10 minutes? Not quite, okay. I'm gonna pause. Let me check my chicken. I think it's time, yes. It is time to turn the chicken over, and I'm probably going to have Thomas help me with that so I don't have to rewash my hands. So he's going to, and it might not be, it doesn't have to be on camera. I think we're okay. He's going to remove the air fryer lid, and he'll put it on that black trivet that I showed you. In fact, I'm just going to hand you this recipe. You're on step 6. So there is a little reconfiguring of the chicken. It's not cooked yet. So he really is just flipping them over so that they're skin side up. He's going to remove some chicken, reconfigure it, put it skin side up, and cook it more. Okay. The kale, I'm going to cut it in bite-sized pieces. And this is just a rough chop. Okay, but there's really nothing worse than getting a salad and having it be, too big of pieces to handle. So I am cutting them smaller, and then I'm going to even cut the other way. By the way, while I'm cutting, I have to mention you should all stay on at noon. I told my son we are representing my family. I am helping you cook today, and at noon, his father-in-law, Jim Brow from the business school, is talking family finance. So you get a lot of representation from my extended family. You get me, and you get who will someday be my co-grandparent if our kids have babies. You'll get Jim Brow. I'm not hurrying them to have babies. I let them take their time. Okay. I don't know if my daughter-in-law is in this Zoom. She knows that. I don't hurry any of them. Okay, so I am just chopping this kale to get it bite-sized. And then I'm going to drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of salt, and I'm going to literally massage it. Okay. I am okay. So I wanted to show you this. So again, this is just kind of the boring part of making salad, but that's okay. This is something you can involve your kids in. The other thing that's really a good idea as far as like mealtime is to really get your kids involved. Ask them what they want to eat for dinner. It also takes the pressure off of you of having to decide what you're cooking for dinner. Ask, get the family involved. So let's see, we are 10 minutes. So now the chicken has been flipped, reconfigured, and it's going to be air fried for an additional 10 minutes. But like I said, get your family involved. Or if you have roommates, get them involved. What do you want to eat? And have them, some fun things to do with littles in the store is to do scavenger hunts. Find colors, go to the produce section and find things of all the colors of the rainbow. Kind of as kids get older, a fun thing to do is to have them do a scavenger hunt and look for products that are local made. Like if you live in Utah, look for products that are Utah products. Anyway, all sorts of stuff. I'm just going to do a little drizzle of olive oil. And again, this just takes it takes the bitter and kind of the toughness out of kale. So tiny drizzle of olive oil and a little shake of salt. And I literally am massaging. And you don't need to massage. It's not an hour massage. It's just maybe 30 seconds a minute. I have a daughter who teaches foods at a high school in Indiana. And lest you think my field of family and consumer sciences is dead, I will tell you it is not. She is one of 8 family and consumer sciences teachers at her high school. They teach foods. They go as high as like culinary arts classes. They have child development classes, hospitality. So all sorts of great stuff. Okay. Yes. Oh, substitutions if you're gluten-free or even dairy-free or something. Great idea. Substitutions. Honestly, the wheat berries are fun for crunch and a little pop of texture. So you could leave them out. You could also think of another grain. You could do some quinoa, some cooked quinoa. You could do, okay. You could do some cooked, what am I thinking? You could do barley, any like small grain you could do, or you could just omit it. This was the end of my feta cheese. So when I make this later today with the TAs, if we have time, we probably will omit the cheese, or we might put in some Parmesan or something. I don't know. But you can, that's a thing. Well, and I'm going to talk about the dressing too. So I wouldn't run to the store to get, wheat to make wheat berries if you don't have it. So just work with it. And we do that in the lab. Sometimes we'll come across a little glitch and I'll say, oh, well, say for example, a group mistakenly used more onion than they should have, and we don't have any fresh onion. I mean, that doesn't happen often, but if it were to happen, I'll pull out dry onion and we'll say, well, let's sub dry onion. Let's make it work. Because I say to my students, you're not going to stop what you're doing and go to the store. I mean, sometimes you do, but if you don't have to, see if you can make it work with what you have already. But yeah, you could do a different grain. You could buy some dairy-free cheese, or you could leave the cheese out. Thank you for asking that. There are a lot of options. Okay, and the dressing. I do want to talk about the dressing in that, let me just find, oh, here it is. The dressing, this is a perfect example of adjust and do what works for you. So I've got all the ingredients for the dressing in this bowl. It is olive oil, canola oil, red wine vinegar, which is not red cooking wine. It's a vinegar that is red in color. If you don't have it, I would probably sub and use apple cider vinegar. Okay. So again, if you want to make this, you don't necessarily have to go to the store and buy everything that's on the list. If you have apple cider vinegar, give that a try. You just want some tang. It also has balsamic vinegar, which is yum, and Dijon mustard. Now, mustard acts as an emulsifier in homemade dressings. Almost anytime you make a homemade dressing, it's going to have oil and acid. In this case, it's vinegar. Sometimes it's lemon juice, but it's oil and acid, which normally don't want to mix. So we add an emulsifier, which in this case is the mustard, and it's very commonly used in salad dressings. So it has some Dijon mustard, minced garlic. It also calls for fresh basil, a ½ ounce of fresh basil. Now, I was not going to go and buy fresh basil that I was not going to use in something else just for a little bowl of salad that I'm throwing together. Sometimes I might, sometimes I won't. So in this case, I didn't, and I've put on your recipe, I would probably put a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of dry basil rather than, now in the summer, if you have your herb garden, that's great. You can go out and you can get some fresh basil. And even if you want to, you can go to the store and buy some basil. But for today's demo, I just really wanted to use dry basil because I wanted to show you that you don't have to buy basil for this. And also there are oftentimes when you can just use a substitution because you just don't want to go to the store or you don't want to spend the money on the ingredient. Just find something that'll work for you. Oh, okay. We're going to pause. I'm going to itch again. Thomas is going to pull the rice over. We're going to pull it over here within the camera. Let's cycle back a little bit to Instant Pot, pressure cooking. There are some key terms to know with pressure cooking. One of them is pressure cook. Okay. Now, if you have an older Instant Pot, the panel will be different. So you need to get to know your control panel. But in this one, it's pressure cook. And that will just set it to pressure cook for the amount of time that you ask it. The other 2 terms that are really key to know are quick release and natural release. Quick release means that as soon as it's done, you're going to push a button and release the pressure. Natural release means you're going to let the pressure naturally decrease because it has built up pressure. That's why a pressure cooker cooks our food so fast, is it's cooked under pressure. This rice recipe said 3 minutes or 3 minutes on full pressure, then 10 minutes of natural release. Then we're going to release any more pressure. So I'm going to push this button. And you can see that stream of steam coming out. If I had pushed that button right when it was done cooking, a lot more steam would have come out, like a geyser. I like to put a damp cloth over that valve to kind of dissipate the steam a little bit. But I knew with it being natural release for 10 minutes, there wasn't going to be a lot of pressure in there. So now the pressure is down. I know that because the silver button that came up when it built to pressure has gone down. And I also know that because I can open it. I wouldn't be able to open it if there were still pressure in there. So now this is worth your whole hour of sitting through this. A lot of Instant Pots have the design on the lid where there's this and a hole in the handle. So you can, that's where you put your handle. Often it's kind of like, oh, where do I put that? You just set it right there and it's out of your way. Then we're going to fluff the rice. It's always best to do it with a fork. Stirring it with a spoon just kind of makes it a little gummy. So I'm just going to fluff it. Then I'm actually going to have my trusty assistant. He'll move the rice out of the way. He'll grab a plate. And don't fear, we're not going to use the same plate that had half-cooked chicken on it. But he's going to grab a plate and dish some up on it. Then we're going to also plate the salad and plate the chicken when it's done, and you'll see our meal. Now, when we talk healthy cooking, I like to eat food. So I say, go for variety. Go for variety, like I said, colors, textures, food groups, and, you know, moderate portions, but enjoy it. Enjoy your yummy food. This dressing is super simple. I have a really nice blender here. Years ago, Blendtec donated some blenders to us. So I'm going to, but you can do this in any blender. It doesn't have to be a top of the line blender. But I've got all the ingredients in this bowl. I'm just gonna dump them in my blender. And there's actually a dressing button. So I'm gonna push the dressing button and it's going to mix all that up. Oh, that's a great question. If you wanted to use brown rice instead of long grain white rice, do you know what I would do? I would Google. In fact, whoever asked that question, that is seriously fantastic question. What I would do is I would Google brown rice Instant Pot so you can find out the amount of water to rice and the time to cook it, because it might be different. I'm not sure. I have not yet done brown rice in my Instant Pot. So I would merely Google brown rice Instant Pot, find how much water to rice for 1 cup of rice to how much water and how long to cook it. And then just scale the recipe accordingly. Like if it's, for this, we did 1 cup of rice to 1 1/4 cup of water. Now, a lot of recipes say 1 to 1 for rice and water in the Instant Pot. I personally feel that that's a little dry. So I liked, man, that chicken is beautiful. I like to do, you'll see it in a minute. I like to do 1 cup of rice to 1 1/4 cups of water. I don't know, like I said, I don't know on brown rice, but find out the amount of water, the amount of rice, how long to cook it, and then just use the same, scale it up to 2 cups rice, the amount of water that you would need for 2 cups of rice, and add that tablespoon of the chicken bouillon or the tomato bouillon granules. Does that answer your question? By the way, on the handout that I just got to Marie, thank you, Marie. I gave her a new handout this morning. I was so sorry to do it, but I realized you probably wanted contact information and stuff. So on the handout that is there, there is my contact info. You are welcome to email me, you know, questions that you might have. One recent assignment that I have made for my 300 level students is they take a conventional recipe, for example, a favorite soup that they've made in the crock pot, or a favorite rice that they've made on the stove. And they do a little searching and they convert it to a pressure cooker recipe. And honestly, anything, well, meats, beef that does well with moist heat, like those cheaper cuts of beef, your chuck roast and your rump roast, they really shine in a pressure cooker. And if you've been doing it in a crock pot, you can often find a recipe for the pressure cooking, or you can, with a little, if you're comfortable, or you could reach out to me and I can tutor you through it, you can really find a way to tweak it and make it your own recipe. Let me give you an example. I have a recipe for applesauce that I made in my crock pot from Mel's Kitchen Cafe. M as in Mary, E-L-S, kitchen. Anything I've made from Mel's Kitchen never fails. This was years ago. I found an applesauce recipe, no sugar added, and it was just delightful. Certain blend of apples, a little bit of cinnamon, lemon juice, wonderful. But I wanted to make it in my Instant Pot once I got an Instant Pot. She didn't have it written for Instant Pot. I think she now does, but at the time she didn't. So I took her ingredients and the proportions of ingredients, and then I searched for Instant Pot applesauce to find the method. So you can take your own yummy recipes with their ingredients and that are made in your crock pot or on your stove, and you can find the method for Instant Pot and do it much faster. Oh. Oh, good. Thomas said he put in the chat the Instant Pots reference page for cooking times. All right, I'm going to turn on the blender. If your appliances don't work, make sure you've turned them on, okay? And I'm just gonna push this. I think I'll turn the mic off because you don't wanna hear the Blendtec. So we're gonna have a little bit of silence while it's loud in the lab. Yeah, I needed a nice little soundtrack. That's what Thomas said. Okay, so I've just blended that up. This is a nut butter or a dressing jar. It's smaller. You can buy it separately to go with your Blendtec blender. I'm trying to be honest about brands we use. I didn't invent them. I don't make any money. I want to be clear. And you can use any blender, but I just want to show you, if you have a Blendtec and you're like, I've never seen that. This is just a smaller jar for making nut butters, and it works really well if you have small quantities, which this dressing was. Because if you've ever tried to use a full-size blender to make a tiny batch of something, sometimes it just doesn't work well. There's not enough volume. Okay, so like I mentioned, cycling back, I put about a teaspoon of dry basil in here. Then I can taste my salad, and if I think it needs more basil, I'll just add more. But like I told you, I did not buy basil because I didn't want to waste the rest of the basil. However, I will tell you, like I've told you, I don't like to waste food. So I would not waste it. I would probably buy a basil plant in the produce section, and then I'd use it for a few weeks until I had managed to kill it. Or I would take the basil leaves off, the basil leaves I hadn't used. I would put them in a paper sack and let them dry, and I would crumble them up, and then I would use them in a sauce or a soup later. Or another thing that we do with our advanced class, in our advanced class, all of our students work with a partner. They fabricate a chicken, which means they cut up a whole chicken into its parts. It's in a bag dead from the store, but they take a chicken, a whole chicken, and they learn to cut it into its pieces. Then we freeze those portions and we use them later in the semester. We braise and we make sauce, and we use the chicken breast in a soup, and we make cutlets. But we also have so we put the carcasses in bags, Ziploc bags in the freezer, and we use the carcasses to make stock that we use all semester. In another bag, I have vegetable scraps like onion peels, carrot peels, ends of celery. That's another place you could put your herbs, fresh herbs that you haven't used the rest of. You could put them in your Ziploc bag in your freezer that houses stuff to put in your stock. And this is a whole other lesson, but you can put a chicken carcass, a bag of vegetable scraps, water, some seasonings, and Kenji Lopez Alt of the Food Lab and Serious Eats suggests also adding some gelatin. And you get, after about 45 minutes, you get a really rich broth you can strain, and it's actually a stock. You can strain it, and then you can freeze it and use it for all sorts of stuff. This is free stock that you made from what would have gone in the garbage. Yes. There is not a trick, and I'm actually very pleased that it has not totally fallen. I think it's just stir it as you're serving it, right? But yeah, I don't know way on that, Ashley, because tomatoes are heavier than kale, so they're going to naturally fall to the bottom. So if you'll come put some of the salad on, oh, we're multitasking here. The textiles people might have a question. He's going to put some salad on the plate. And then we've got it plated, and I will show you. I seriously, like I said, I really appreciate the help of all of our staff. These recipes are ones that we've used in our labs. I love the color and the crispy of the chicken thighs. I think a lot of people haven't tried chicken thighs, and they are delicious. It's a dark meat, so it's very moist. It's very hard to overcook and get it dry. And then look at this rice, so simple. And all it is water and those red colored bouillon granules that have a little bit of chicken and tomato flavor. And then here's our kale salad, delicious. So that's a really nice meal. Okay, I would love, like, I have time, I'm fine. If anybody wants to unmute and ask any questions, like I said, like this is my 20+ year career. And frankly, I grew up I've always loved to cook. So it's 50 years of experience in the kitchen, meal planning, shopping, feeding my family. When I got hired here, I had moved here and I had friends ask, oh my gosh, like you teach foods? Yeah. Do you like make dinner every night? Pretty much. Oh, wow. But I'm a firm believer in mealtime. And I do feel like if somebody's not cooking a meal, we know what we're eating. It's Hot Pockets and burritos, which, listen, I had a quesadilla last night with a tortilla and cheese. I did have some homemade refried beans that I made in my Instant Pot. But and I don't do everything from scratch. I am lazy. And that's why I picked this for you. I am lazy, but this is all stuff without me talking. You could have thrown all this together, had people help you. This is done in a half hour. So I will stop talking. If anybody wants to unmute and have any questions, I am happy to answer questions. Did we lose people? How many people are here now? Oh, wow, all right.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said you love Mel's Kitchen Cafe. I also love Mel's Kitchen Cafe. What are some other websites that you get your recipes from?
Do you know what I will say, I don't cook a lot of family meals anymore because my kids are launched. I do like the philosophy of the Food Nanny. She simplifies mealtime by saying Monday is comfort food, Tuesday is Italian night, Wednesday is breakfast meatless or fish, Thursday is Mexican, Friday is pizza. I don't remember Saturday or Sunday, and maybe I got Monday wrong. Anyway, if you know the Food Nanny, their philosophy is gather around the table. Simplify by already knowing what you're going to, like what genre you're going to do each night of the week. And that takes out a lot of the thinking about it. I will say I am a huge fan of The Lazy Genius. She has a podcast and she actually has a book coming out, The Lazy Genius Kitchen. But her first book, The Lazy Genius, is all about, it's that type of philosophy, but she takes it into everything about managing life. So decide once, name what matters. So if you can't have, for example, grocery shopping, you cannot have cheap, you can't have in a grocery store, wide variety, top customer service, banking, top-notch floral, cheap, close to my store, close to my house, organic, you can't have it all. So you need to decide at your phase in life, name what matters. But I do like Mel. I like, I don't go to the Food Nanny a lot, but I do have her cookbooks. I love her philosophy. I'm kind of just recycling stuff that I've made forever. I haven't looked for new stuff lately. Does anybody have ones that they like? Do you want to add them to the chat? What other questions do you have? Anyone? Let me mention, as we close, I want to mention that a lot of people have asked me, wow, how did you teach cooking during the pandemic? Okay, fun fact, people. We had our class SFL 110 with BYU Online 2 years, well, a year and a half. I don't remember exactly when it was developed, but we've had our 100 level class online since pre-pandemic. Our students cook at home with certain guidelines and parameters. And so, for example, they've studied about fruits and vegetables and taken a quiz and watched some PowerPoints and some lecture videos. And then they are instructed to cook something that highlights fruits and vegetables. That's not a dessert. We want them in that one to highlight fruit or vegetable as like a salad or a main dish, you know, like fajitas or veggie lasagna or something. And then they submit a write-up, they submit photos. They also have tasters who include their thoughts and their opinions on it. We also, our 340 class is shifting to online in the summer and will be offered online. And 110 is also through independent study. So that's been on independent study since like 2001. So we have had ways to teach cooking remotely. Any other questions? Yes, somebody. Oh, okay. I'm open to new ideas. I mean, like I said, yeah. I thank you for your time. Let me see if there's any, I mean, I know you're doing other stuff. So thank you, thank you. I just hope like dinner doesn't creep up on us. It happens, breakfast, and it doesn't matter. If your mealtime to gather is breakfast, do it. If you're not gathering for mealtime, start with once a week. Start small, you know, and talk. The Family Meal Project, they also have a lot of ideas on conversation starters. So talk at the table, even if it's at the counter, okay? But gather, make food, eat food. Yes. Sharethetable.com, the Barilla, and that's actually on the handout. I have referenced on the handout a number of books that I've used as references in our 340 class, which is entitled Family Meal Management, where we talk about food in the context of home and family. And these are all listed on the resource with the recipes that I gave Marie at BYU Wellness. So these are listed. And then also is I Dare You to Eat It, which is the book about food storage. And then there's Fischl, who wrote Home for Dinner, has a, I think it's, yes, the Family Dinner Project. I did list that on the handout as well. So those should be there. But if we missed anything, just honestly shoot me an email. Okay. I love Instant Pot. I love air fryer. I hope you learned things about how to make it simple. I hope you learned anyway. Thank you for being here.